January 2018, the European Union will vote on a measure to increase renewable energy output to 35% by 2030. The legislation has raised controversy because it treats the burning of wood as the equivalent of using wind or solar power.
The reason that biomass is interesting to people who are concerned about global warming is that plants eat CO2, the primary atmospheric greenhouse gas that causes global warming. They eat it for a living. So wood's really where it piles up.
The issue is bioenergy, specifically forest biomass. This essentially means burning wood for fuel.
There's plenty of good waste biomass to burn. There's the stuff that's left over when a logging crew leaves the logging site, all the tops and the branches and the bark that's fallen off, and it's a lot of stuff. Once the log gets to the sawmill, all of the sawdust, all of the bark, and all of the boards that are the wrong weird shape because they're near the edge of the logs, all that stuff can be used. And from a paper mill, every last carbon molecule that doesn't make it into paper can be used for biomass.
The problem is that the legislation allows for more than just waste wood to be used. Demand in Europe is now driving deforestation abroad.
Under the EU rules that they are adopting, you could chop down the Amazon, ship those trees to Europe, use it to replace coal in Europe, and Europe would count that as 100% greenhouse gas reduction. This is in legislation now.
Burning wood for electricity emits twice as much carbon as any fossil fuel, including coal. Even in the best-case scenario, it would take new forests decades or even centuries to reabsorb the CO2 emitted from burning wood.
We release CO2 by cutting down the forest and then burning it, and then it takes a long time to build back up again, maybe 100 years or even more. And during that time, we actually have hurt global warming, not helped it.
Powering just one wood-burning power plant in the UK requires 12 million tons of fresh wood, an amount equal to all of the UK's annual forest harvest.
We're talking about a huge setback for climate change and a potentially massive ecological impact.
This is far from just a European Union issue. The biggest supplier of trees to European power plants? American forests. The second biggest? Canadian forests. Scientists fear the example these large countries would set for the rest of the world.
You're basically telling tropical rainforest countries that it's actually good to cut down their trees so long as they burn them. Countries with lots of forests are being told, protect your forests to solve climate change. We're not really going to give you any money to do that, not much, but you should just do it. And of course, that just costs them money to benefit the world at large. And this alternative tells them, no, if you cut down your forest, we'll actually pay you for the wood, and that will also solve climate change. So which are they going to prefer to do?
If the European Union meets just 1/3 of its renewable energy target with forest biomass, it would require an amount of wood equal to Europe's entire timber harvest.
People have to make politicians know that they care about this subject. It'd be great if they all went out and started marching in the street, but short of that, find some way to contact your government officials.
For the world to get just 3% of its total energy from forest biomass, we would have to double the global timber harvest.
There's sort of no free land anymore. You put it into forest production to create biomass. It comes out of something where it serves some vital function.
When you create accounting rules that tell people that something is good when it's actually bad, people will go out and do a lot of bad things.
What you want to do is limit biomass energy to the margin right now.
Call your representative and tell them to limit forest biomass sources to wastes and residuals only.